Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another 1T Hockey podcast. I am your host, Martin, joined by the one and only Steven.
Hello, everyone. Good to be
Ooh.
back. How's it going?
It's a pleasure. It's great. It's going great right now. It's a few days till Christmas.
Yes. Christmas is just around the corner. I'm very
is
excited.
its way.
What are you hoping you get this year, man?
A lot of
What do you
money.
want Santa to bring
A
you?
lot of money, and
No.
and some good draft picks.
Oh man, I still remember back in the day when the Leafs had Berkey claws.
The Berkey clause. Oh god.
He'd give us gifts every springtime, and you know,
Now
it was
he's in
Dion
Pittsburgh.
enough.
Now he's in Pittsburgh.
Yes, Berkey Claus is in Pittsburgh, blessing them with his gifts of his fruitful gifts.
Man, we need to get him on the show one day.
Oh, that would be awesome. Our first guest. I want our first.
Oh. As you can see,
No, maybe we should aim a little lower.
a little lower.
Yeah, a little lower. You know,
Like
a
Mario
little
Lemieux,
smaller,
maybe?
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. Screw it. We'll just have first guest. We'll have Mike Babcock.
Mike
He'll be our
Bap.
first
Yes.
guest.
Tell us what the hell happened in Toronto. Give us the inside scoop. That's what
And
we're here
we'll ask him about his coaching job at the University of Saskatchewan or Regina. I think that's where he is right now. I could be wrong.
for. He's still employed, eh? He's still got a job doing something.
I believe so. I mean, I can quickly check it right now, but yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
believe he is the coach of a university team. Yeah,
Interesting.
the University of Saskatchewan. He's been the head coach since last season.
Now, guys, as you can see, Steven and I are having some technical difficulties with the internet. We'll
Uh-oh.
try to keep her going. As you can see, he's completely lagged out. But we have a pretty.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It is brutal, and it's still on. The play.
That's okay.
This
Just say the show goes on. You know what they say? They say the show goes on,
show
and we
must
go
go
on
on.
with it.
The audio,
Yes.
the audio is passable, so we'll just keep going with it. We're gonna be talking. It's gonna be a small episode, guys, not too long. Just going through what's going on in the NHL since last week. Some extensions happened, trade rumors. Going more in depth with that. There's some news that came out recently, although there have not been any trades. Again, the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's some news regarding them and what they're going to do. Some OHL stuff. General manager got expelled. Yes, bad boy, bad boy. And then the Russians in the NHL and this situation. Let's start with the extensions. Of course,
Yes.
Seattle signing Jared McCann the night that they played the Maple Leafs. 5 mil, 5 years.
Yeah.
I hear that they have a good relation. Dubas and what's the general manager? It starts with an M. His last name is.
Of Seattle?
Yeah.
Ron Francis.
Okay, why did I say M? Why did I say M? Well,
Yeah, dude.
wasn't it the former, or is the president the former Washington Capitals, or for some reason I have
Who?
that.
George McPhee?
Yeah, I swear he was.
I think isn't he still with Vegas?
I'm confused.
He was their first GM. I can't see why they would have gotten rid of him now because
You're right.
Vegas hasn't been bad.
So I'm just taking an L here. But
Oh no, their GM is Kelly McCrimmon in Vegas. So did he like a promotion or something within the organization?
I'm just very confused now.
Yeah, he's the president of hockey operations.
In
So
Vegas.
he got a promotion basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Surprising. That man played some games. Um, are you surprised with the deal? Think it's a good deal for Jerry McCann?
I think it's perfect. I mean, I believe he's still the leading point scorer on Seattle. I could be wrong about that.
Gonna
But yeah,
check
he's
that
having a
out.
great season on an expansion team that hasn't been very good. He's the only shining points of this season. 21 goals in 51 games. Sure, he only had, but you know what? It's good. Like this is actually one of the first seasons that he's actually been more of a goal scorer than a playmaker. So it's good to see him have that touch. And yeah, like you said, the fact that they gave him that extension on Tuesday while they were in Toronto, I thought was hilarious. Everyone knew it was hilarious. They did it on purpose,
Yeah,
clearly.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, he even said now how like his buddies will still like joke around with him about how like he was a Leaf for like 36 hours or whatever it was, and yeah, it's all good. It's good fun.
It is good fun. He's in a three-way tie with Jordan Eberle and Yenny Gord.
Okay, yeah,
So
but
that's
does
probably the first
he?
line.
Yeah, but he is leading the team in goals, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so there you go. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, 5 by 5. I think that's perfectly valued for a player like him. It's not too much. It's not too little either. So he's still getting paid. And yeah, I mean, it takes him till he's 30 years old, so he can still be a free agent and probably get another big payday there if these next 5 years go really well for him.
It's definitely a contract that's like, especially a team like Seattle. They're not 100%. They don't have lines. They don't really know what they're working with just yet. They have
Hmm.
prospects in the bargain in their bin, and they have yet to see what they can do. Of course, this year they can draft another center. I feel like this is a situation similar to Los Angeles. Um, Jared McCann could eventually be a third liner for them if they needed it. I mean, I don't think you'd want to put him as a third liner, but he at 5 mil, it's pretty expensive, but he could play that role pretty well.
Yeah.
But so that's one, and
Oh yeah. I I'd even say he's better as a winger, to be honest. I think that's his natural place.
well, there you go. Very versatile.
At least on yeah, on Seattle too. I see him playing more wing than I do center, which I mean, yeah, at 5 mil, he's just great for the top six. He's just well valued. And like looking at the other values on the team, like Eberle at 5.5 for 2 more years after this one. Jaden Schwartz also at 5.5 for 4 more years.
Well,
Yanni Gord at 5.1 for 3 more years, and then that's where McCann will slot in at 5, and then you got Wenberg at 4.5, Donskoy at 3.9. So yeah, you kind of see how like they're not overpaying anyone, and again, it makes sense. They're a new organization. They're just taking things 1 year at a time, and
they didn't take the
Vegas either where
Vegas
they were.
approach. They didn't take the Vegas approach.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly what I was gonna say. They weren't just good right from the get go. They're doing it the old fashioned expansion way, which is you're kind of crap for a few years and then you build yourself through draft picks and trades, smart trades, asset management.
Yeah.
And yeah, just don't shoot yourselves in the foot. That's all it is. I mean, they got the goaltending with Grubauer, at 5.9 for whatever, 6 more years or 5 more years, whatever it is.
He's not looking too good.
No, but again, I mean, I
Oh,
he has one of the lowest goal supports in the league. So games where he's playing, his
yeah.
team doesn't score. So that's obviously a problem, and I think that says more about just the team than him. Like it's gonna be tough for a few years for Seattle, but once they get things going and they start meshing and leaders start emerging, you'll see a difference and they'll become something in a few years. Give them 3 4 years, give or take. That's what I'm saying.
You heard it here from Steven. There you go. Next up, Rasmus Ristolainen. This one is quite the
Oh,
interesting one. 5 years,
yeah.
$5.1 million in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
He he's
Uh,
having one of his better years in terms of plus minuses with a -11. Um, of course, they were hoping for a change of scenery for him and hoping that that would revitalize his career. And through the injuries that Philly has had, and I guess it's just maybe other factors that we don't know, but it's just not turning out so far for him and Philly. But they see something in him. What do you think they see in Rasmus Ristolainen, Steven? As a naysayer, I know you're a naysayer. So what do you see?
But I don't know what they see in him because I see nothing in him, honestly. No. I mean, he's got offensive ability, which is great. Like you do need defensemen like that. I'm not saying that he's totally unvaluable. I don't know what the word is. But like I'm not saying that he has no value. He does have value as a defenseman. Just I feel like he's never been on a team good enough like around him. He's always been expected to be that guy,
Yeah.
but like he's not. He's not the guy you can rely on. Um I think 5.1 it is a bit of a pay cut. He was making 5.4 against the cap for the past 6 years. So, you are taking 300,000 off that cap hit for 5 more years. I mean, I'm looking at Philadelphia's defense in those 5 years. Anyone else extended beyond next year besides him and Provorov at the moment?
Mm.
Travis Sanheim expires at the end of next season. Justin Braun is up at the end of this year. Keith Yandel's up at the end of this year. They do have Ryan Ellis who goes on till the end of 2027.
Okay.
It's okay. So they have three guys now signed until at least 2020 or until at least 2025, and then Ristolainen and Ellis go to 2027. And like even when you match it up with the forwards too, Couturier, he goes to 2030. Wow, yeah, I guess his extension kicks in next year.
Jesus.
Joel Farabee has a 5 year extension or $5 million extension that kicks in next year. Yeah, it's a 5x6. Kevin Hayes goes till 2027. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Scott Lawton being paid 3 million, like is he worth that even?
Yeah, it just seems like the management there doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
No, well, they've changed over so many times in like the past decade. Like I feel like that there hasn't really been one consistent management group that's been there just to like kind of be like, okay, let's deconstruct everything, start from the ground up, and go from there. Kind of what Shanahan did when he took over the Leafs, or kind of what any president or GM does when they come into an organization for the first time that's kind of been struggling for a while. They analyze everything, break it down, keep the things you want to keep, and oops, just my mic there, my
It's
bad.
okay.
Um, and yeah, just kind of go from there and like draft guys and don't rush anyone into the NHL. Let them take their time
Yep.
and with the proper coaching, the proper development, like that's when you'll start succeeding. So maybe Philadelphia kind of needs that. Maybe they need a reset. But I'm also pretty sure that Chuck Fletcher was just hired like this past summer or the summer before. Like he's pretty new there in Philadelphia.
He is new, and
Uh,
they also got a new coach as well this year. They replaced.
okay, sorry, I lied. He's been with the Flyers since 2018.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So maybe, yeah, maybe it's time for them. It'll be 3 years at the end of this one. More actually, it'll be 4 years at the end of this one. So yeah, maybe it's time to move on from him, Philly. Uh, I mean, I think the fans will agree with me on that one. I know the fans are not a big fan of Chuck Fletcher. I mean, again, you look at what he did in Minnesota. He gave Parise and Suter those contracts. I don't think those need to be mentioned anymore.
He's
Trying to
lost.
see what else, who else he's given big contracts to that has kind of been like, did they deserve it? I mean, everything else looks okay. I'm not gonna lie. Just there's been those few blemishes that you can maybe question and be like, huh, yeah, I don't know about that one, but
He's amongst one of the worst defensemen in this team, and like
oh
from
yeah,
I'm looking at some stats here.
I was gonna say, I see. Yeah, you brought up the analytics charts there. Yeah,
Yes,
analytics and him do not go hand in hand.
we'll show that to the guys here.
But then, I mean, analytics, they're not the be all end all. And I think
No,
that's one thing that, like, nowadays, like, you hear so much about analytics, and I'm all for it too. I think it's great to look at. But, again, it's not the be all end all. There's some guys that are really good, and, like, their analytics say that they're bad, but they're actually, like, you just watch them play, and it's like, well, they do all the right things. And, like, they're not the guys that need to be analytically correct. And that's the thing. there's so many guys on a team. Some guys are gonna fill in both. Like let's say it's a Venn diagram where you got analytics and just like the way your play style and just how you play and what you bring to the team, like the tangibles. That's what I'm looking for.
Hmm.
Obviously, there will be some players that fall in the middle that fill out both, and these are like the elite superstars that just like they got everything going for them. Then you got the player. Then the rest of the league is kind of divided into the intangibles and the analytics, and that's where you kind of got to look and pick and choose to see who's actually good.
Yeah. I. It's also the eye test, right? It's the eye test plus the analytics. The middle ground is pretty much where it belongs. But I feel like is this is this just a courteous thing? Are they doing this just to be nice to him? Do they know his value? I don't know. Like, is this guy worth a first round pick? They traded a first round pick
Thing,
for
man.
him.
I mean, yeah, they did. I That's right. I forgot about that trade. Oh my God. To like, yeah, what was the full trade history? Yeah, it was the first last year, which Buffalo used, and a second round pick next year, along with Robert Hagg as well, who was a young, young. So I think a depth defenseman. He's like a third pairing guy, you could say.
And like, if you look at Shane Gossesbear, who in his rookie season he got like 71 points, I think.
Yeah, he had a
65,
crazy one. I know that. Like
65
yeah,
points.
he came onto the scene, and yeah, he just kind of blew up.
I don't know if that's his rookie year. No way. 46 points.
No, that his rookie year was 46 points though,
Yeah.
which for a defenseman, 46 points in 64 games, that's decent.
This year he's got 36 points and a plus minus of -4 in Arizona.
That Yeah, that's better than Ristolainen
100% better than Ristolainen.
on the Flyers too. Like yeah,
Yeah.
that guy's on Arizona with those numbers.
They literally got nothing in return for Shane Gossesbear. They had to trade away a
Yeah.
second and a seventh and Shane
Hmm.
Gossesbear.
Yeah, he was literally just a
Cap dump.
cap dump. They were just going to take him. We don't want him. We don't want anything in return for him. That's how desperately they want to get rid of that guy. But I also know like things with him in Philadelphia, especially last year, like it was not good. Like I'm pretty sure they were sitting him.
Yep.
Like he wasn't even playing games. So
Does it go to show that he's rotten though? Like, sorry, not him, but Philly. Philly's
well, that's the thing.
rotten.
I mean, there's that thing about like everyone knows it about Flyers fans or just about Philadelphia sports fans in general. They're not nice people. Like they'll turn on you in a heartbeat. Like I mean, you can kind of
It's
say
not
same
really
thing
the
with Carter Hart.
people though. It's not the people that's the issue. It's the management that seems to be the issue here.
Well, yeah, obviously it is the team. Sorry, I just had to say something about Flyers
You had to
fans.
sneak that in there.
Yeah.
It's like Mark Bergevin, like the way he was managing the players as well. It seemed as though he was cherry picking the ones he wanted to succeed and whatnot. And like PK Subban, for example, it didn't work out in our style of play. Then ditch him out, throw him out to the wolves.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there was more than just his style of play in Montreal. I think it was some things going on in the locker room there between him and Pacioretty, from what
Yeah,
I heard.
yeah. That's. I mean, he's not wrong. I don't think Pacioretty should have been the captain from the get go.
Hmm.
It should have been Gallagher way before Pacioretty. And maybe maybe we should get PK on the show. You know, maybe he was like, no, I don't want to have Pacioretty as my captain. I would rather have Gallagher as my captain. And
Maybe. I mean that's the thing. All I remember hearing was that Price was the guy who was like the glue in that locker room. He kind of kept everyone together. And then the year that he got injured and
yes.
missed a lot of time, that
Oh,
kind of went. And obviously you saw that off season. There was that day where like the crazy half an hour in hockey where Hall was traded for Larson, Weber was traded for Subban, and then Steven Stamkos ended all the rumors and just re-signed in Tampa.
yeah.
That's still to me one of the like I think to everyone there's one of the craziest half an hours in hockey, and it was just like I guess it was a couple days before free agency started. So like no one really saw that all happening that day, and
It's
it just all happened
crazy.
at
It
once.
was all
Yeah,
crazy.
I was wearing my Taylor Hall T-shirt that day, and he got traded. I'm just like, well, this is worthless now.
I was at my graduation.
No way.
Yeah, man. I was at my
Oh,
graduation, and I'm like, wow.
wow. Wow, that's
Everyone was
crazy.
talking about it.
Yeah, that must have been awesome though to have that happen on that day. You then get to see everyone and just be like, "Holy shit, guys, what did we just witness today?"
Definitely can't forget about it. It's not something that I'm gonna forget about next few years or forever.
Oh
It's
yeah,
just
you'll always remember when your graduation day was from
e-
high school because of that.
exactly.
Not because of the moment of graduating, it
You
was
know,
because of the just what happened that day in hockey.
who
Yeah,
could
wild.
care less? I could care less about my graduation.
Oh, yeah, honestly.
Honestly, screw my
Especially a
graduation.
high school graduation.
This is also true. Enough talking about the Montreal Canadiens. Let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens, and the rumor that it's come out from Elliot Friedman that Shea Weber's contract might be on his way out
Hmm.
for cap relief for other teams. I don't know how that works, but that's the NHL for you.
Yeah,
Um,
LTIR. It's a beautiful thing.
exactly. So apparently his cap hit is 7.9, but the cash is only 6 mil. Just $6 million is nothing. Um,
Hmm.
if teams that were who either I wouldn't be surprised if some teams who either need long-term injury room or want to get to the cap floor are and aren't looking to spend a ton in the next couple of years take a look at the Weber's contract. And he pointed out that Minnesota might be a team that would be interested because that would free them some cap space. Um,
Hmm.
and then they would be able to make another move for the year after, for the same, sorry, not the year after, but the trade deadline there.
Yeah.
Um, I, what do you think of this?
I mean, like that's basically just how it's gonna be. Like you got a player like that who's making like his cap hit is we'll just call it 8. It's 7.8, but we'll just call it close to 8, right?
Sure. Well,
Like
7.6. 7.9, sorry, my bad. Yeah, it's 8 million.
yeah, 7. I guess yeah, 7.9 if you want to
Sorry. No,
round
you're
it.
right. You're right. I'm sorry. I thought it was 7.6. You're
I'd
right.
rather just say
7.9.
8, you know.
8 is 8 is a lot better, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of money that's being freed up on your cap space. And again, yeah, looking so he's owed 6 mil this year. Starting next year it becomes 3, and then the final 3 years it's 1 million each. So yeah, really anyone like that contract could be going anywhere. Even Arizona could pay that money.
Yeah,
Crying out loud.
that's true.
So yeah, it's basically it's that exactly. It's whoever wants to pay and like I think sorry, I keep cutting myself off, but it's because I just keep thinking of different things and for Montreal, I think this is great for them. Like you're basically gonna have teams outbidding each other just to try and get a contract they're never gonna play again. So like depending on like how who wants it, like cap relief more, like yeah, who knows? Like, could you see a first round pick?
No,
Like, could you see Shea Weber being traded for a first?
no,
Probably
my
not, but no, but you know what I mean? Like I'm just going to like extreme hypotheticals, but like you just to kind of paint my picture
yes.
of you can maybe a second, maybe a third,
That's
maybe
why.
two
That's what I was
thirds. Like
thinking. I
who
was
knows?
thinking the second. Second would definitely be second and a third would be possible,
Yeah,
depending on the team, if
because
it's a competing team or not.
but even a first wouldn't be too far off too, because when you think about it, like eight, like again, just calling it $8 million here, like that's for any team, that's like a first line player that
Hmm.
you could bring in now because you have that money on LTIR that you're now able to spend over. So
Yeah, but I'm confused to how it works because if you're bringing this guy in, right,
mhm.
and you already are close to the cap, how does this guy give you minus $8 million?
Because so when you put a player on the LTIR, that money,
But
there's
they
like
would
okay,
still be they would still be at the same point that they are, right? Because like so, if the team's $2 million from the cap space, from
hmm
the limit, right, the
yes,
ceiling, and then they bring in this guy, they can't put him in, so they put him on LTIR. Wouldn't it just be
yeah,
the same position that they are anyways?
no,
It wouldn't,
because
because when he's back, then it would be back to the $7.8 million that he's owed.
Well, it
But
would be so it's basically it's prorated, like the cap hit. So it's for basically however much time he misses,
uh-huh.
that is how much cap hit is relieved.
Hmm.
So like I'm looking at Tampa Bay right now because they have Brent Seabrook, who they just acquired this past off season,
Yes.
who's making 6.8. Again, we'll call it 7 just for simplicity's sake. So now with him like being his career, he's basically he's he's the Shea Weber from a few years ago. Like he's
Yeah.
done playing. He's never gonna play again. His contract's already been passed around. So now Tampa Bay for this year, next year, the year after, could go $7 million over the cap because of just him his contract being on the LTIR.
Terrible.
And like anytime like basically so the LTIR, I think the minimum you have to be out is 28 days. So basically like teams use that like obviously when a player is going to be out for like more than a month, they put that player on LTIR because it helps you save even if it's just the minimum 28 days, you're still saving that cap space which in the end will make a difference.
If you're like if you're the Leafs, for example.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at the league, a lot of teams are cap strapped nowadays. Like I just mentioned Tampa Bay, like Vegas is up there as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Montreal actually currently has the highest projected cap hit, but again, that's because they're using the LTIR
That's right.
already.
That's right.
I mean, even you look on Cap Friendly here, like at the amount of teams with injuries and how many of them are using LTIR, like it's almost half the league, at
Wow.
least for sure. At least a good third of the league is utilizing LTIR as we speak.
Jesus.
So yeah, it's a thing, and it's not going away. I don't think it should go away either. I mean, when a guy is legitimately injured for more than a month and he will come back and play, I do think that the team should get some relief because that's now a player out of your lineup who you would have been paying.
Hmm.
So I think it's a good idea, and I don't know. I love teams that exploit it. I'm all for exploits. So the more you exploit it, the better you are in my books.
Better. Jesus Christ.
Yes,
Ah,
exploitations.
this one is interesting, but PK Subban, his contract is coming up this year. Okay.
Correct.
He only since the season, once we hit trade deadline, it'll be about 60 games left. His contract would only have $2 million left. The New Jersey Devils aren't really in a position to be in a playoff. They're not in a playoff position. No,
No,
it's too
not at
competitive.
all.
It's too competitive in the Metro to for them to do anything. Yeah, and they splashed hard with Dougie Hamilton, and PK Subban being a right-handed defenseman could raise some eyebrows for certain people. Um, would you see the Toronto Maple Leafs acquiring a guy like PK Subban?
At the deadline, no.
No.
In the off season, maybe. I'm not closing the door on that. It's obviously yeah, it's very clear that they need defensive help
Do you
and
think
right
that he
hand
would
shot.
be a fit with the Leafs?
Uh,
He's got 18 points this year, -7. That's not bad, all things considered.
no, it isn't.
It's
I
currently
mean,
his best season in New Jersey. Not points.
yeah,
Yeah, actually, yeah, best season currently.
everything wise, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Again, it's not really saying much, but
No.
I mean, yeah, he's a shell of his former self. You're not gonna get the PK in Montreal when he won a Norris and all that. Which again, I don't think anyone who expects that you're expecting the wrong things.
That's right.
So get that out of your head right now. But I mean, that's the thing. If he can be like a third pairing guy, like I think that's what he's kind of become. If especially if he's gonna be on a contender like the Leafs, like you brought up, if it's that, then yeah, he's gonna have to be a third, probably second pairing guy because he's PK, but
Right.
he's getting older too. He's gonna be 33 next season, or he's gonna be 33 in May. So yeah, next season he'll be 33 years old. Um, I mean, yeah, I see him more as a third pairing guy, especially now, just the way the years have gone. He's kind of has to like prove himself again. But again, there might be a team that does offer him a decent contract, like who knows, maybe like 5 million or 4.5 million, just to
Yes,
be
this
like,
is Philly calling.
yeah, hey, Chuck Fletcher here. I heard you're a free agent. I'd love to give you a 5x5.
Jesus. Wow.
So, um, no, going back to the main point about Subban. Yeah, it would be interesting to say the least. I don't know. I don't know if the Leafs are pursuing him. I don't know if he's a guy who. I don't know if he. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure he has interest in playing with the Leafs. Like they're a good team. A lot of people would want to play for good teams, but it's more so like I don't. Again, I just don't know. I think right now, obviously, it's hard to look ahead to next year when the focus is still on this season.
Mhm.
At least for me. Um, So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that would be interesting though. That just to keep that in mind though for like, as the months go on and we get closer to the summer. That would be interesting to talk about and just start hearing maybe some rumors going on about his future. That would be interesting.
I think he could be like a Wayne Simmons, but for your defense.
Yeah, that's
Not the same role. We're not. These are not the
yeah.
same players, but he is Toronto native, and he played with Tavares, right? Uh,
Yeah, I believe they're the same age. They were drafted same
Stamkos,
year.
Tavares. They were all playing together.
Oh,
So
sorry. Subban's actually he was drafted a couple years before them, so he's a bit older. But yeah, they all played same time. They all know each other. They played on junior teams together too, I believe. So
I wouldn't be surprised if he signed like a $1.5 million deal for 1 year.
yeah, like a prove me contract. I think that's a very realistic option. He takes it 1 year, no more than 1.5.
Fine.
I think that's correct. I think winner gagnant.
Winner Gagnon.
Am I pointing? No, I'm pointing to the wrong side. There.
There you go. And then
That's just an endless void on this side. We don't talk about this side.
no, there's nothing there.
Oh,
Oh, oh Lord.
don't want to look there either.
I don't want to look this way either because oh Jesus.
Yeah, we again, you don't talk about
That's
that side. I don't talk about this side.
God. JT Miller supposedly he is no longer in trade talks.
Yeah, I heard his quote the other day about him saying like as of now like it was basically just typical players saying like, oh, I'm gonna stay here, I'm committed here, and but I guess if he did talk with the GM, and I know he did say he was speaking with his agent and they just go along their day-to-day business, but he said none of that has included trade talks. But again, that could just be the player keeping things hush hush. Like again, you never know. GMs could make decisions last minute and I don't know, surprise everyone, including the players themselves.
He's having
So
himself a good uh year, all things considered. That the Vancouver Canucks themselves are not. I mean, they are. Sorry, their resurgence ever since they switched
mhm.
out their coaching and they looked uncertain, especially with the GM. It took them a while to get the general manager in, um, but yeah, it seems as though he's to be staying put in Vancouver, just maybe because there's not much out there.
Yeah,
It's not a seller's market. It's a buyer's market, I believe.
exactly. Yeah. So like if in price of like let's say a first and a prospect and no one's willing to pay that. Although I mean, I think that's a good like I don't know. Whatever the price is, right? If no one's willing to pay it, then yeah, then it's just not meant to be. You hold on to him. You hope next year the team could turn things around and he becomes a part of your. Obviously, he becomes someone you want to keep and you can move forward with from then. Because then that's the thing too. He has 1 year left after this year, so if he's staying in Vancouver, and then for the Canucks, it's all about if you want to keep him, giving him an extension, what does that extension look like? He's currently making 5.25 against the cap. He's proven himself to be a very good player, 63 points in 55 games, including 22.
67 points in 56 games.
Oh, so this TSN trade bait list needs to be updated then.
That's right.
Um, yeah, so even better. Including how many of those are goals. because it's got 22 on here. It might have been 23 or
So
24 by
he's
now.
signed. He's signed until next. So next year he's gonna be a free agent.
Yeah, at the end of next year, exactly. So that's why it's kind of, I guess it's similar just to a lesser extent, but like with Arizona with Jacob Chikrin, how like he's like the big talking point and like he could move. There's a very good chance he moves, but he's also on contract for 3 more years at 4.6. So if you're Arizona, do you believe in your team that by the end of those 3 years you can be good and he'll be a player that you will keep and you'll be useful to the team, especially at 4 picks. You can fill in so many spots around the lineup just to be a solid team, right?
Mm,
When you're paying a guy like that so little. So yeah, it'd be interesting. But with JT Miller, yeah, as of now, sounds like he's gonna stay. But again, things could change, man.
this is
Things
true.
could change.
Things could change, and his career so far in Vancouver has been successful. His
Mm-hmm.
highest point total, 72, has been. It was with Vancouver. Um, it's. I think he would want to stay there. He's definitely looked at as a captain in the locker room when
Mm-hmm.
things weren't going well. He was voicing out his opinions. He was saying, "What the hell are we doing here? What the hell is this? What's going on?"
Yeah,
And
well, he's been around, right? Like he's 30 years old. He's been on the Rangers. He's been on the Lightning.
yeah,
So he's been for pretty much his whole career. So yeah, I mean, a guy like that to speak up and help turn the boat around. That's what you need. It's what you need in those times.
right.
You need a guy who's committed to the team, wants to stay, and he does genuinely seem like that guy who he wants to stick around and be part of the Canucks organization for I don't know as long as he can, really. But yeah, and going back to kind of like how I was saying, like things could change. Like you see Dallas now, like they're all of a sudden on a hot streak in a playoff spot again.
Yep.
So you got to think a guy like Klingberg probably is off the market at the moment.
Well, I mean, that's not true because that's if he doesn't want to. He's a UFA at the end of the year. So
Yes, that is true.
it really depends on how Dallas feels. If they need to get the value now, they want to get anything out of him, and they know that he won't resign because he has said publicly that he is not happy.
Hmm.
He's not seen as a top two defenseman, and they don't want to pay him Miro Heiskanen money.
Yeah.
Then there's an issue there, all right, right? And about that, Miro Heiskanen is actually injured, or not injured. I think he has mono.
Oh, so he's gonna be so he'll be out for some time then,
Yeah, he's out
definitely. So then
indefinitely.
yeah, so I mean now if you're Dallas
They're put in a
again, I
tough
mean
position.
yeah, I mean it's just you got to take it one game at a time. If
Yeah.
the streak continues and come trade deadline in a couple more weeks, let's say like they're in a good position and they feel like they're okay, maybe they hang on to him just to have that extra bit of security. But even like on the flip side, if you're a team that wants to acquire Klingberg,
Hmm.
like if you truly don't believe that he's gonna re-sign with you, I don't know why you would do that. And like I don't know why you would trade for that guy. Again, he's a rental, so you see stuff like that happen. But let's say you're a team that do believe that like you're gonna sign this guy come July 1st, right? Like,
Hmm.
what's the point of trading for him if you're just like, oh, like we can get him on July 1st in the summer, first day of free agency. So I don't know. Again, that's an interesting one. Um, it's so hard. I don't know. Like you've been hearing all these names and rumors going around, and you want to see something happen, especially now that we're within the last 11 days until the trade deadline, and still nothing big has happened. There hasn't been that splash yet, the
That's right.
wave.
We're sort of like, I guess maybe people are fantasizing about what they want to happen. And in fact, I'm looking at this page on NHL here. It says that Kent Hughes told Sportsnet that the Montreal Canadiens are not trying to trade defenseman Shea Weber.
Yeah,
So
well,
they've
we can
had phone
scrap everything we
calls.
said earlier.
Exactly, they had phone calls. There's a lot of speculations and rumors, and he's not aware of anything there. But
Okay.
it's he says it's not accurate what they're saying. So
Right.
maybe it's discussions, things that how do we do this or that, and how can we maximize our cap and whatnot.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it was in discussions and Freeman heard it. I don't know, with his paper cup phones. He heard
Yeah,
it somehow.
the old the old can on a string.
That's it. So look at that. Just that whole segment gone.
But again, it could
It,
not be
that's
because
right. I mean, you put that in someone's head, and then someone wakes up. Hey, wow, this is a great idea.
yeah, he's probably just saying that because he's probably just sick and tired of being asked that on a day-to-day basis. So he probably
Right.
just came out and said like, "Hey, we're not looking to move him right now." But again, it's just right now. The future could open up a lot of possibilities. But even that was the thing too. I don't know if this was mentioned, but like even I should have said this before, but if you're Montreal, like why would you want to move that contract? Because now that allows you to spend over the cap, and he's not owed a lot of money either. But
Right.
again, if the demand is there, then you might as well trade it if you don't need it. But I think a team like the Habs, where you do have some players getting paid, some fair amount of money, like a contract like that doesn't hurt.
Is there anything you wanted to add to the trade rumors?
No, I think that's it. I think we just wait till like next week will be a couple like 4 days before trade deadline. So hopefully a lot happens in the next week and we'll have something to a lot to talk about on that front. That would be
Yes,
nice.
it
For
would
sure the
be
week
nice.
after we'll have a lot that we'll go over basically all the trades, and I think that that might even just be a trade deadline show. Who knows?
I was actually we were talking about meeting up on trade deadline. Whether I go see him or he comes
Hmm.
to Oshawa and we meet up here. But maybe we could do something of sorts. I could bring my laptop, bring webcam, and we could do a show.
Oh, like a live stream
Yeah,
or
not a live
something.
stream, but like
Oh,
a live show. It's still the
yeah.
same thing. Like it was,
Yeah.
we upload it the same day.
Yeah, that would be nice. I mean, especially yeah, on trade deadline, that would be cool. Like we can react to things as they happen. Although, oh, man, I don't know. Trade deadlines lately have been duds, so
Well, we don't
could be
have
hit
to.
or
We could
miss.
do after.
That's true.
We could do
Yes.
after show. Um, that maybe like at 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock after. When does trade deadline? Like when
The
did the
deadline's at 3, but
there?
usually trades will trickle in until like 5 o'clock because they're all pending the approval.
Yeah. Well.
So like, yeah, usually by like 5:30, I'd say,
Oh,
and everything, all the information's out there. Nothing new's gonna happen.
go. You're
So
still.
just yeah.
There you go. Well,
Did you did you get that?
yeah, we got that to an extent. 5:30. We'll figure it out. Hopefully we
Yep,
can get
of
a
course.
good show coming for you guys for that day. Toronto Maple Leafs. A little bit of
Hmm.
news for them. You love your Maple Leaf news. So Jack Campbell injured for 2 weeks, rib injury.
Yep.
You think it's 2 weeks, or you think it's a little longer than that?
No, usually at least this season, I've noticed that like when the Leafs have said 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is, it usually is that amount of time.
Yeah.
I find it funny here too how like sorry, I'm just on the TSN page where it's like Leafs goalie Campbell out at least 2 weeks, and like the video is showing Mrazek. I guess
Yeah.
there the
It'll
video's
play.
talking about how Mrazek this is opportunity. Yeah.
That's right. And the way that did did Campbell play versus Seattle? Think so.
Yes, he did.
So he got
Yeah.
injured in that
He
game
It must have been,
or in
or
practice.
unless it was in like practice today. Well, I mean, let me read here. It says aggravated the issue during Tuesday's game. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So was he
So,
fighting
and then
with
he
it?
tweaked. Yeah, it says he tweaked something a while ago and then aggravated it on Tuesday. So maybe this has been the reason why he's been playing shaky since January 15th. I'm looking here. He has an 865 save percentage since January 15th.
Why would they so okay, he if he had this, all right, and was not disclosed to the public, of course, yeah, I don't, they wouldn't want to disclose it.
Hmm.
And they let him play. Why would they let him play through it? I don't get that. Why would they let
Well, I mean, I'm sure coaches and like I'm sure management and both Campbell have had like daily discussions on like his his health and just making sure that he's in shape. And but that's the thing, right? If the player says he's good to go, then like as a coach, what are you gonna do? Like you can't force the guy to go out unless you
No,
truly believe that he's injured. But like if he says he's good and he looks good, then you keep going with him. But clearly there's something wrong, and I think they both just came to terms and realized, yeah, maybe some time off would be best for you just to let this fully heal, especially now that, we're coming down to the business end of the season. Playoffs are right around the corner, and they need both goalies, to be honest, Mrazek and
yeah,
Campbell, to be at their best. Like there's no time to mess up now.
Mrazek needs to step up for sure, and a little bit more ice time might help him. Even if it's if he does poorly, he still gets to see
Yeah.
ice time.
Yeah, exactly. Just, seeing shots from different angles, seeing how the way the team plays in front of him. I think that was like the big issue when Mrazek was injured earlier in the season. He never got a chance to play behind the team and see like um what their tendencies are and like what he has to do to play around them and work as one, right? Because it's a team sport. The goalie's included in that, and you got to work as a unit.
That's right. That's right.
And if one it's a good machine. If one cog isn't working, then the whole machine will fail.
There you go. You heard it there. A lot of blown 3 goal leads.
Yeah.
Um, the string of them is a little excessive. Seattle was with 3-1 lead,
Yep, it was.
and then
Columbus was 3-0.
yeah,
Vancouver was just a back and forth game. You got Buffalo, that was a terrible game. Washington, they won, but again, I think they blew a lead in that one too.
yeah,
There was the Detroit game, which is
yeah,
enough said, low scoring football game.
yeah. Football game.
Um, I mean, like literally the last good game, like the last solid game that the Leafs played, start to finish, was Minnesota on February 24th.
That 2-1
They won
game.
three to
Oh,
one.
3-1. Sorry, 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1.
But then the night
But in
before they played. No, not the night before, but they played in Montreal, right? Remember,
Yeah,
and they
so
blew.
yeah, we'll get to that one. But yeah, Columbus was the game right before that, which they lost in overtime.
Okay,
Montreal was the night before that, which again, I don't talk about that game. They played the Saturday before that against St. Louis. They lost 6-3. But
okay.
then the game before that against Pittsburgh, 4-1 win. Those are their last two solid games, Pittsburgh and Minnesota. And they were both in February. That's almost a month ago now.
They have one of the worst save percentage slash goals against average
Hmm.
so far
But
this year.
you know what, man? Like, obviously, like the way they've been playing, like especially recent, like like this whole week, like Columbus, they blew a 3 goal lead. Seattle, they blew a lead, but they're getting the win in the end. And when you're at this time of the year where like teams are closing in, like the division's close, you know, as the Leafs have been losing games, like Boston has just kind of climbed up and is like, hey, like we're only 6 points behind you now, so that's kind of scaring me. But yeah, at this point, honestly, it'd be nice to get a good win, but in the end, I just want the 2 points. I won't. I'm not gonna be picky. You can't be
Mm,
picky.
It just doesn't look good.
No.
It does not look good, and it would make me scared as a Leafs fan going into the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think up until yesterday, that's kind of how I felt. I was feeling really scared, but then yesterday, I don't know what it was. Maybe I just saw something or heard something.
You heard
It just kind
Jesus.
of, yeah. and and it just got me thinking that yeah, when the standings are this close, I just care about the win, and we can figure out like there's still 20 games left for them to clean up the way they play. But at this point, just walk away with the win. And again, I mean, man, Matthews is scoring at a ridiculous pace as well in these games. So like, if they're going to be high scoring games, that just gives Matthew more of a chance to score and just solidify his claim for the Hart Trophy.
His
So
dominance, but that's not really a team effort, is it?
no, and that's the thing. Like I've noticed throughout this like slump in a way you can say this the way they've been playing. Like the top line has been the only consistent thing for the Leafs.
A down
Bunting,
spell,
Matthews, and Marner
a little down
have been
spell.
the down spell. I think that's a good word. But the top line, they've been the only consistent thing for this team. They've always been there. They score points night in, night out. Like it's ridiculous the way they're scoring points.
Yep.
It's good though that now Tavares, I think he's got his mojo back. So you can see that.
Nylander
And
and Tavares are minuses. Nylander's in -11.
yeah, and again, that line has been struggling, but
Interesting.
again, you see now Tavares, he's gotten some goals again recently. Nylander's, he's starting to get some points again too, and they got Robertson playing with them, just some young legs, a guy who's kind of frothing at the mouth for this chance to play so high up in the lineup.
Yeah.
I think it's only a good thing for them. So you're seeing them starting to pick it up again. The third line has just always been pretty decent. Can't complain about Camp, Mikheyev, and Engvall. They've actually been really solid recently.
Yeah.
And then the fourth line, I mean, you got guys like Kerfoot's actually been demoted to the fourth line recently, which
I'm not about.
it's crazy to think, but I mean, at the same time, that's Kerfoot on your fourth line. Like, it sucks that he's not seeing the ice as much, but he's almost more effective and like he's fresh whenever he goes on because he's not
How
playing as
much
often.
is he getting paid?
Kerfoot is, I think, 4.5.
You're gonna have a $4.5 million play on your fourth line.
Again, it's just momentarily. I think come playoffs, he'll go back on the second line. Even like I noticed against Columbus and against Seattle, like in the end of the game where it's kind of been like
I think the reason why he's
Keith has gone
there
back.
is because Andre Cash is injured.
He came back. He's
Okay.
back now.
Okay. Did he play the
But
other day? I don't think he
he
played
did. He
Seattle.
played against Seattle. They gave Spezza the night off because I
Okay.
think he's needed one. Even Simmons. I think Simmons deserves a night off too. You can kind of tell he may look a little burnt out, but I don't know. Again, I think it's mainly though now it's because Robertson's in the lineup that they want. Because the thing, if you put Robertson on the fourth line, he's not gonna play well.
Well,
'Cause
I'm
you
not
can't give a
disagreeing
guy
with
like
you.
that.
I'm not disagreeing with you with the Robertson. Although he in 6 games he's got a -2. I'm not
Yeah.
like.
Oh, sorry. Kerfoot's actually making 3.5. So
Okay.
not as bad, but yeah, still,
No.
I understand 3.5 for a fourth liner. But
If I saw versatility, if I saw that Kerfoot playing on the fourth line and the rest of the team could still play effectively, then I would see Kerfoot out and then try to get myself a defenseman because let's be honest here, that's exactly what the Leafs are in need of.
I mean, you could get rid of a guy like you could do a move like that, but I don't think it happens before the deadline. I think something like that maybe happens in the summer
Well,
because again, you
depends.
could.
What they need, they need cap. They need to get this going. You know,
Yeah, I get it. They do, but I don't know. I still
anything
think
they're gonna need or anything that they're gonna be looking at is gonna be about $3.5 million up.
that's very true. Yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I just feel like with Kerfoot, like again, they're just. I think right now they're showing off Robertson more so. Like I think if anything, he'll be the guy to get traded, and then Kerfoot will go back up on the
Robertson?
second line. Could be.
No,
Could be.
because
Not for a rental though.
they would never. I don't think Nick Robertson's gonna be traded.
He can be.
I don't think so because I think he's gonna be the guy that eventually plays on the second line. Look, Tavares is getting older, and they definitely want someone that could take up the reins on the second line when he does eventually go away.
But that's a centerman that you need then. Roberts is a winger.
He's been a center in his
He's
career.
small though. He can't be a center in the NHL. He's too small for that. He's only 5. He's like 5'9".
So that doesn't mean you can't play as a center.
It's more difficult. I mean, I'd rather have a guy who's 5'11 plus playing center. That would be nice.
If Nicholas Robertson, I don't think he's gonna go because they need a winger. Simple as that. They needed a winger to play on that second line, and Robertson is that guy that he's had a minus ever since he's gone on that line. Vancouver, he got a goal, so he's a +1 there. But then Columbus and Seattle -1.
Yeah.
Still about the same amount of ice time So, of course, he's a young guy. He hasn't really experienced that top six before. He's playing with different line mates all the time. Hopefully, it's
Mhm.
consistency for him. I think they would rather keep him instead of going out there and acquiring a guy like JT Miller or a winger in the free agency and focus solely on their nest on what they need.
Right.
Kerfoot, if you can put him on the fourth line, what I don't know. Why would you trade Nicholas Robertson? Who would you play? Who would you put on your top six? Andre Cash?
He could. I mean, they did try it earlier. It didn't seem like he totally fits on the Leafs top six. I think he's perfect on the Leafs third line.
Yeah,
Um, Again, I mean, I don't know. I was gonna say though with Kerfoot, like I noticed in those games, like especially towards like the last 5 minutes of the game, they put him back with Tavares and Nylander because they were like, okay, we can't blow this lead and we can't have a young player who might is more likely to make a mistake than a guy who's a bit more experienced and has that poise
that's right.
to do the right play. So I think that's why I don't see Kerfoot getting traded either because I think come playoff time he's getting put back on that second line. That's where you want him. That's where he's played most of the year. He's looked very good there with Nylander and Tavares. So yeah, again
It's a
I don't
tricky
think either of
situation.
them get traded. I don't think either of them get traded. Like
Who would
I
go
don't
out?
know.
Who would go out then in a trade for a defenseman? Anything out there? Who? It doesn't matter what they're getting back. Who would be getting out from the Toronto Maple Leafs to go get this asset?
Man, that's it's a loaded question. It really is.
Loaded question.
It would definitely have to be a prospect of sorts.
You gotta get Cap out of here.
That is true. Kinda, sorta. I don't know what their
I'm looking at it right
huh.
now.
It says currently they have 3.7 is their deadline
Project.
cap space.
Oh, 3.7.
Is their deadline cap space? Yeah.
Because it said projected cap. They have
3.719.
91,000.
Yeah, that's don't worry about that. Don't worry
Okay,
about that number.
we
That's
don't
okay.
look at that number.
Um no, yeah, I just know literally just look at like if you click on the Leafs, it'll go to current cap space and deadline cap space. So those
I
are the
see
ones to
that.
look at.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially right now with Muzzin on the LTIR. So that number is actually growing and growing each day. But he's back to skating, so he'll probably be back within the next couple weeks, I assume.
Yes.
Maybe mid April, I think at latest will be his return. Um and oh yeah, that's another thing too with Campbell. You were saying like, do you think it's actually 2 weeks? I think if it was more than 2 weeks, they would have put him on LTIR just to try and save as much money as they can, right?
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, he's gonna come back, and he might not come back. But hey, we're going around the question here, Steven.
No, I know, I know, I know,
Who
I know.
who are they getting out? Cause they have money tied
Okay.
up in Justin Hall, and Kerfoot is the fourth most expensive player on the forward core.
Yeah.
Sorry, one, two,
Uh
three, four, fifth most
Fifth,
after
yes, that
Nylander.
that sounds right.
Nylander.
Yes. I mean, okay, so looking at their depth forwards, I mean, Amirov, I don't think he's moving, especially with the brain tumor that he has that he's dealing with. I think that would be in poor taste to move a guy like that now, especially if you're the Leafs. That's just bad press you're asking for.
Yeah. We're not
Alex
talking.
Steves
We're
is
not talking
22
about
years old,
prospects, Steven. We're talking about money. We need money.
but we don't need to. The Leafs have 3.7 in cap space. They can pick up a guy easily, so I'm not worried about the money anymore.
You sure about that?
Yes, I'm absolutely sure. I mean, yeah. So there's Alex Steves, 22 years old. He played a handful of games this year, but again, I don't think he has that much value. Mikhail Abramov, maybe you can move out. Semyon Duragashintsev, don't want to trade him, especially since he would be the centerman for that second line or third line, probably more realistically,
You
because he
also
did
have
play.
Sandin and Liljegren who are coming up on their contract RFAs.
Well, much experience though, so they're not going to ask for huge contracts. You can probably get them back on like or less, maybe even like another like a 2 year at like 950K or something. There's Joey Anderson. who's just kind of been in the minors. I think a lot of Leaf fans forget about him. Remember, he's played in the NHL with New Jersey in previous years, so he's just there. But again, I think he's more just a guy for the Leafs.
Yeah.
Defensively, though, I mean, you got Mac Hollowell, but again, he's 23. Oh man, there's
There's
there's not
Topi,
much. There's
Topi,
Topi
yeah,
Niemelä,
Niemiela,
yes.
Niemiela.
But I know Dubas said that he's not trading. He basically said he's not trading him for a rental.
Yeah. Why they have that
So like,
first?
if
They
you're
have
gonna,
their first round pick. That I'm sure that it's gonna be.
yeah, that could be moved. I guess yeah. Let me look at the unsigned guys. So yeah, Niemela and Matthew Nyes. Those were the two guys that Dubas said he's not trading them for a rental. So if he does trade them, maybe it's for like a Chikrin or something like that, right? Like a guy who has years left.
Right.
So again, if I think honestly that's one of the only realistic trade options for the Leafs, just based on what they have to offer and what they could bring in. Because if not, then you're trading like I don't know, you're probably trading like next year's third for like a rental or like something like that, or like next year's second. Because this year you only have a first, second, and seventh, so I don't think they're trading either of the first or second this year. I think it's gonna be next year's picks that get moved.
They're
At least
not.
that's what I would do.
Yeah. Well, they're not. I don't know if a team would want a third. Or like, what are you gonna get for a third for next year? You're not gonna get.
Well, if it's a guy who's gonna leave in free agency, a third round pick, you'll take that.
Depends. I don't know. A guy that's a value is not like John Klingberg's not gonna go for a third. Josh Manson's not gonna go for
No,
a third. Ben Sherrod's not gonna go
no.
for a third. Colin Miller maybe, but like
Okay, then the
say
Leafs have
say
their second next year that they can offer.
for example, if you traded away Justin Hall,
Yeah.
Justin Hall first round pick for Josh Manson. You're removing cap space that allows you to potentially re-sign Josh Manson. I mean, still you have uh, again Timothy Liljegren and Sandin that you Labushkin and uh, also Labushkin needs a new contract as well. So
Hmm.
you know
Well, that's if they decide to sign him up.
that's right, that's right. These are tough questions for Kyle Dubas.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing. I mean, he spoke this past Monday kind of about like, I guess just like everything going on, state of things. Um, and yeah, basically just kind of kept things hush. He basically just said all the things that we already brought up, where like they're looking for a defenseman, like like he said, like they know that there's a problem with the team right now. They're actively looking for the solution. Um, yeah, Niemela and Nyes won't be traded for rentals, so you don't have to worry about that. Basically, he just did his due diligence and said, like, yeah, I'm like sticking with Campbell. He's our guy. Mrazek's also there. We're not giving up on them. He basically just doubled down on the team he has, but said at the same time that yeah, we are looking for a defenseman to bring in. So yeah, who knows who that defenseman is that they bring in? I
Yeah,
mean, Justin Braun also is a guy too. Like at 1.8, I think he's a guy you can get for a third easily.
Justin Braun. Yeah, he again Philadelphia Flyer player here. I'm not entirely sure how well he's doing.
Like he, well, he
He's
plays
positive.
though
He's a plus
like he
two.
has size and he's like there we go. Oh my God, look at that. But like he also the way he plays, I think that's more what I want. Like I want that kind of player on the Leafs, the guy who can bring physicality because he'll probably be playing third pairing with like either Dermott or Sandine or someone like that, someone who can do all the other things. So he won't be asked to do all that stuff, and he can actually just play his own game. And yeah, they can. I don't. I think that would be a good solution. That would be a good trade to get a good player to bring in. Uh,
Right.
you know. So I don't know. I mean, that seems like I think that's probably the best value rental in the league right now. I think he's going to be a hot commodity come trade deadline just because of how like you don't have to like no one has to retain money, even though it'll be for 1 year. Like you don't have to retain. He can just kind of come into your lineup and fill in the gap right away.
No, I agree with you on that. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see, I guess, eh?
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. I always love this time of year just for all the news and the things going on and seeing what happens, and a lot of surprises come up. So yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes.
Excited for it to kick off.
Hmm.
The OHL expels Flint president Christensen. Um, yes, supposedly Terry Christensen, he had what did he do? There was a investigation on him,
Hmm.
and there was allegations from the from some players that he was using some racial slurs. Although,
Yeah.
yeah, it said that they violated harassment and abuse diversity policy. Um,
Hmm.
this is from TSN. I'm just trying to find where else. Like, I remember seeing that it was for racial reasons, but I want to know like specifically what this
What was
situation
said?
is. Yes, yes.
That might be hard to find. That's if the players or people in the organization that he said this to. That's if they decide to come out and say their stories. But yeah, I mean, looking at this article here, he's been suspended by the OHL since March 5th after having received a complaint on February 20th. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, the OHL has been on it. Clearly, it's been on their radar for almost a month now, and they've known about this, and they took action 5 days ago as of
Mhm.
recording this with the suspension. And yeah, now the expulsion. So that's just he's gone, and I think it's sad
Apparently,
that
it's
that's
not the first
happening.
time.
No,
Appar-
it's not the first, and it won't be the last. That's the even sad. I think
for
that it won't be
the
the last.
Firebirds, particularly in 2016, the owner
Yep,
Rolf Nielsen was fined 250,000 and suspended for
that's
5
right.
years, and they had to
Hmm.
forfeit the number 3 pick in the 2016 OHL priority selection.
Yes, that I do remember that one actually. And again, it's this organization. I mean, they've kind of been known for being a bit of a shit show in the OHL,
Oh
the
yeah.
Firebirds. So this sadly comes as no surprise to anyone. Like honestly, it's so sad that this almost isn't a surprise. It's coming out of Flint. Like if you heard this coming out of like the London Knights or Kitchener Rangers, Oshawa Generals, one of those teams, like it'd be a big deal. But because
Yes.
it's Flint, it's kind of just like, oh, but it's so sad how it's come to that point that Flint had it's gained that reputation,
Right.
and yeah, they got to do something about it. They need better ownership. Um, they clearly need someone to be in the team that actually cares and is on top of these things to make sure it doesn't happen.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, this
If they have
thing
money,
sucks.
if you have money, good or bad people, it's bad people exist and they got money, then they can do whatever they
Oh yeah,
want
they're
to, right?
everywhere, man.
They can do
They're
whatever they
everywhere,
want.
exactly. Yeah, it's sad.
It
It
is sad.
really is.
For our last story of today, we're going to be talking about the Russian players in the NHL and just not really the situation, but the war in Ukraine is completely terrible. Just there's really no
Hmm.
word for it. It's just absurd and should not be a thing at all. Should be no war right now. But we're not here to talk about politics and war. This is a hockey podcast. So Ovechkin, being a player that hasn't really come out and condemned the actions of Putin, um, and you know, do you think all around he has to? I think he said that he's against the war, but he never
Yeah,
said
he did.
he never like he doesn't go out of his way and say like Putin like stop. Like Panarin and
Well,
then Zadorov, they put out statements against this war. Panarin being he's probably the number 2 Russian player in the world. Um,
mhm.
Ovechkin
Oh
is
well,
number
yeah, you're
one.
forgetting about Kucherov though.
You're right. That's very true there. Kucherov and Panarin sharing 2 and 3 right there. Maybe whatever. You know what I'm saying. They're
Yeah, no, I know. We don't need to debate
no.
who's the number one ranked Russian in the world at the moment. That's that's just save that for another day.
So I mean, how do you feel about the situation?
It's a tough one. Obviously, I think for a lot of these players, it's just about like they're concerned. Obviously, they want everything to be okay. They want to keep playing in the NHL. They want their families to be safe. They want this to end for the most part. So yeah, I mean, kind of looking at this, it doesn't. And next year they can't play in the league. I think there'll be something worked out here to let them stay because
Oh Lord, 1 second. You're lagging hard. The Russians are listening in. They're trying to cut you out. Oh Lord, you actually completely lagged out, ladies and gentlemen.
yeah.
Whoa.
Yo, I can hear you again now. Are you back?
Yes,
Are we good?
yes, yes, yes. We're okay. But you're
Okay.
frozen. But
Yeah.
you're
Oh, that's fine.
that's
Don't worry
fine.
about it. That's a great face I'm making.
That's right.
um, yeah, I don't know where I lagged out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I lagged out what
I
I
don't
was
either.
saying.
I don't remember either. It's not their fault. The Russians at the end of the day, the Russian players, it's not their fault, and they shouldn't be held accountable. Um, and we're talking about an autocratic regime that punishes people for their speech, and it's totally possible that Putin could do something bad to the NHL player's family. There's also concerns that NHL Russians currently playing, um, they're gonna have to get work visas, or they're gonna have to figure out situations because I don't know. I don't know if what is Canada blocking out the Russians? What are you doing?
I'm back.
Yes, he is back. Well, Russia. I mean, like you're not allowing for Russians to go back and forth out of Russia, right? They're going to be officially stuck out of Russia unless that
hmm
they go through other means, like go through China to Russia. Did you know that actually Russia, all their airlines, um, all their planes are actually Dutch owned?
Really?
Yes, and so the Dutch are taking away all their planes, so they won't have any planes at all, no airline
Oh.
in Russia.
Ooh. Ooh. That
Not
is
a good.
interesting. Surprised that a country that big outsources their planes.
Well, they're primarily a railroad country.
That is true, actually. Yeah.
That's how
They're big on trains.
that's how they
That's
supplied
yeah.
this war. Their infrastructure relies on the railroads, but they can only go so far, and that I don't know why I'm divulging into a different topic, but it sort of relates to it. Because of
It does.
this constraint with railroads, um, they can't supply their troops as far because of course you can't go into Ukraine with your trains. They sort of block the Russian trains from coming in. Um, so they've had to resort to bringing everything, all supplies through vehicles, through trucks, and they were not ready for that. They could only go 60 kilometer or 60 miles from their infrastructure, their outposts, before after 2 days, they run out of munitions and supplies. The Russians. So
Wow.
they didn't think it out. No, they didn't plan it through. So that's why they're having difficulty, and you could see like convoys just stalled because they've run out of fuel. Batteries died in their trucks. Like it's not going too hot logistically for the Russians. And again, my heart goes out to the Russian people and the Ukrainian people. Definitely screw Putin, and hopefully this war goes away soon.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hate seeing this, honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, just I don't know. I mean, clearly there's some stuff that we don't understand that's going on over there, and yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just all got has to. We're only two people on this podcast saying this,
Okay.
so we're not gonna.
Okay, guys, I think that's it for this episode. Oh, Lord have mercy. Steven is officially. Oh, look at him, he's falling asleep. Guys, this is it for this episode. See you guys in the next one. Hopefully, we can fix this issue, but peace.